It's Lucienne.
I had no right returning here after over a century expecting everything to be just as I'd left it. Lucienne tried to tell me that. So did you. Would you mind taking care of things?
What the hell was that?
Hello again. Netflix Sandman Season 2 is expected to be released sometime this year, and with the current allegations against Neil Gaiman, it might cause this season to be the last one for the show. So with Neil being in the news, it seemed like a good time to provide an update to see what to expect in this next season, and some of my brief thoughts on Neil and his allegations. First off, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos on Season 1, I'll post a link to the playlist. Just to give you a quick summary, this show is a piece of shit. I ended my review stating as unacceptable as this show was, I was still a Neil Gaiman fan, and I still thought he was a nice guy. Of course, that was all before all of these allegations and his deviant behavior came to light. It was all based off of his interviews and the brief interactions I personally had with him. If you're not caught up to speed with the allegations, I'm not going to reiterate them here, as you've probably already watched another video that detailed all of the naughty bits already. I'm going to give you my thoughts as a devoted Neil Gaiman fan. Now, how much of a fan am I? I've read Sandman in its entirety. I have a Sandman #1, and I waited in line to have Neil autograph it. I have a signed copy of Stardust as well, as first printings of Neverwhere, Norse mythology, The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and Fortunately the Milk, illustrated by Scotty Young. I've pretty much collected anything Neil wrote, including American Gods, Marvel's 1602, Coraline, as well as other more obscure titles. As a fan, the news disappoints me extremely. Given the past things that Neil said about critics of the Netflix show when it initially came out, I assume he feels the same way in regards to my disappointment in his actions. That is, he couldn't give two fucks about what I think about him.
What an asshole, man.
If that is indeed how he feels, of course, he is more than entitled to that opinion. With that said, I'm definitely not the only fan that feels this way. I'm sure that a huge swath of his fan base feel the exact same way as I do. And for the ones that don't, they're still either clinging to hope that all these allegations are false, or they're ignorant to his personal actions in regards to his literary work. Now, is Neil innocent until proven guilty? Of course he is. However, just looking at the agreed upon facts, I still come to the conclusion that based upon his admitted actions alone, he's still a creep. Banging the nanny of his kids isn't normal, regardless if it was consensual. And that is just the tip of the iceberg.
Who are these sick people?
So yes, he lost me as a fan. And of course, who knows how far back this behavior went? Being that his previous marriage was stated as being open, and honestly, what's the point in having an open marriage in the first place? It's safe to assume it probably went all the way back then. Now really fast, let me revisit my Season 1 review, where I talked about Neil being a sellout. Did Neil sell out his creative integrity for money? 100% he did.
God damn it!
I won't rehash all of the details here, but hearing recently that he called himself a male feminist, it all made sense. He sold his creative integrity in order to cash in, and I assume, to fund his lifestyle. Of course, that is his choice, but it showed me what his priorities are and what kind of a gatekeeper he is to the characters he created. J.K. Rowling recently chimed in about Neil's allegations, stating, "The literary crowd that had a hell of a lot to say about Harvey Weinstein before he was convicted has been strangely muted in its response to multiple accusations against Neil Gaiman from young women who'd never met, yet, as with Mr. Weinstein, tell remarkably similar stories." Now, obviously, I concur with J.K., and she, as a fellow author in the same literary world as Neil.
That's fucked up.
Again, Neil is a self-proclaimed male feminist.
What the fuck does that mean?
As a feminist, isn't it by default to believe all women? I guess it doesn't hold up, especially when he himself is being accused of doing things a feminist would never do.
How convenient.
Clearly, him claiming to be a male feminist is pure bullshit, just to virtue signal to the woke mob to gain their sympathies. Even if the allegations are true, the woke mob doesn't care. They only care about people that advance their causes. And with Netflix Sandman, Neil clearly advances the woke mob causes.
God damn it, are you fucking with me?
So in summary, after hearing of these allegations and just pulling the facts that were admitted by Neil, this is how I feel.
Disappointed!
And this is how I assume Neil feels about my disappointment.
Fuck you!
And this would be my reply to that.
Okay, fuck you. How's that?
But in the end, he doesn't care. Now, what about Netflix Sandman Season 2? Well, fortunately, or unfortunately, Season 2 was already in production when these allegations came to light. Unlike some other Neil Gaiman properties like Good Omens or Dead Boys Detective Agency, they were either heavily abridged or outright cancelled. Unfortunately, Netflix were already in the middle of production, so all they could say is,
Fucking hell.
so they decided just to finish the season, and I'm assuming we won't be seeing Neil in any of the promo interviews and a very hands-off approach at any creative consulting he is providing, if any at all. It was already known they were going to tell the Seasons of Mist storyline. Based off of some of the other castings, it seems like they're going to tell the one-off story of A Midsummer Night's Dream. If you remember from the first season, when Morpheus visits Hobgadling, he runs into Shakespeare, and they have a chat. Well, this one-off story is what the chat was about. Also, Orpheus has been cast, which leads me to believe they're going to tell the Brief Lives storyline. If they do tell this story, then they're skipping another major story arc, and if they do skip it, then I would believe that this is the last season they will make. Now, am I anticipating this season at all? Even out of curiosity? No and no. I already know the show is going to continue its woke DEI narrative to the fullest, and the acting or the production isn't anything to write home about either. It's already established from the first season that Morpheus is a beta male with his nuts cut off, with all of his alpha qualities given to the race and gender swapped underling that is smarter and wiser than the creator of the fucking dreaming itself. As I stated on multiple occasions in my Season 1 review, that is, and always will be, 100% unacceptable. To not have a mission statement from the writers stating that the main protagonist, who the show is named after, should adhere to the source material as closely as possible is an absolute travesty, and it speaks volumes about the showrunner and writers in their abandonment of this extremely critical issue to the story. To have the Sandman go through so many false starts through the years and finally gain this abomination with Neil Gaiman's direct involvement and his blessing to the show is 100% assured proof he's sold out. And with his current allegations pending against him while calling himself a male feminist, proves his hypocrisy. Neil, you lost a fan today, and I don't give two fucks if you care or not. And that'll do it for this video. Assuming this is the final season of Netflix Sandman, apparently the first season was received well enough to greenlight a second season, even with its extremely heavy-handed woke agenda in the forefront. With the woke changes and Neil not batting an eyelash to any of these changes, one would expect the second season would be no different. Therefore, the only reason that would make this the last season is because of Neil and his allegations. Oh well, I guess the woke cast and the production crew are shit out of luck because of a male feminist allegedly for doing patriarchal and misogynistic acts. So if I'm right, and the show is cancelled, don't blame me for being a toxic fan. Blame Neil, the fucking male feminist. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time.
I will never forgive your ass for this shit. This is some fucked up, repugnant shit.
Hey, fuck him. Fuck him in the ear. What are you talking about? Fuck him in the other ear, that son of a bitch.